One wrong step, that's all it takes. For millions of women in midlife, a simple fall could turn into a major fracture and a long recovery. But here's the thing, fracture risk isn't random, and it's not just about age. It's about the choices you make right now. In this episode of MenoSpark, we're breaking down the real risks behind fractures in menopause, and more importantly, what you can do today to stay upright, mobile, and strong for the long haul. I'd like to welcome you to MenoSpark, the podcast that helps Gen X women reignite their spark through perimenopause and beyond with holistic health. I'm your host, Allie. I'm a board certified sexologist, menopause care provider, integrative wellness coach, and your go to guide for navigating the wild, weird, and wonderful ride that is midlife. If you're new here, welcome. Be sure to hit that follow button so you never miss an episode. And if you're returning, thank you for being a part of this amazing community. Also, if you're feeling stuck and want personalized support to get your energy, libido, and overall wellness back on track, please head over to Menopause Wellness and check out my 30-minute integrative wellness consult. It's like a menopause reset button, and who doesn't need one of those? If you'd like to be a guest on a Spark session, please see the links in the show's notes. If you help women in midlife, I'd love to talk to you. If you are in midlife and going through menopause right now, I also would like to talk with you. Doesn't matter if you're in peri, you're one day in menopause, or postmenopausal. I'd love to talk about your experience. So today we're talking about fracture risk. It is real. It happens. It happens to more women than you and I can imagine. And, let's talk about some prevention and care. I know when my grandmother was going through menopause, of course, I didn't know it was menopause. Okay. Um, I remember her falling and fracturing her arm. And it wasn't that bad of a fall. It really wasn't. But the next thing I know, her whole arm's wrapped up in a cast, and she's just having a hell of a time healing from that. Looking back, I realized that um, her fracture was in- partly in part, partly in part, because of menopause. Um, and I told myself later on, once I realized it was menopause that helped her fracture, I told myself I would do whatever I could to make sure that doesn't happen to me. Okay. You've heard about older people who have fallen down and maybe fractured or broke a hip. They go into the hospital, they never come back out. I think that's happened to just about everybody I know. Somebody in their family goes in and doesn't come back. Um, so we want to stop all of us from going in because of a fracture. Okay. So why do fracture risk skyrocket during menopause? Our estrogen, guys. Our estrogen is disappearing right before our eyes. Estrogen protects bones by helping preserve bone density. When the levels drop during perimenopause and menopause, bone reabsorption, the breakdown, accelerates. Osteoporosis often creeps in very silently, and it's silent until a fracture occurs. The most common breaks: hip, wrist, and spine. Oh, Lord. Factors that can increase the fracture risk in menopausal women: low bone density, there we go, diagnosed or undiagnosed, okay, um, muscle loss and balance issues, vitamin D and calcium deficiency, chronic inflammation, and certain medications like steroids, PPIs, and antidepressants. The first break is rarely the last. After your first fracture, you risk another doubles unless you intervene. So let's talk about strengthening from the inside out, our nutritional support for fracture prevention. You want to focus on calcium rich foods that are bioavailable, meaning leafy greens, sardines with bones, sesame seeds, almonds, and fortified plant milks. Don't overlook magnesium and vitamin K2. They help calcium absorb and to get to the right places, like in your bones, not your arteries. Vitamin D is critical. Consider a supplement if your levels are low, but please get tested. So don't just assume. Consider anti-inflammatory foods and supplements like turmeric, omega-3s, and berries to reduce bone loss caused by chronic low-grade inflammation. Your bones are living tissue. They respond to nutrients just like your skin or your muscles. Feed them like they matter because they do. So let's move on to movement is medicine, physical strategies to lower fracture risk. Weight bearing and resistant exercises stimulate bone growth. Include strength training 2 to 3 times a week. Balance exercises like yoga, tai chi, and core work. They help prevent falls. Don't skip posture training. Poor posture can contribute to spinal compression and increase fall risk. Everyday habit shifts. Wear non-slip shoes at home, clear tripping hazards, install grab bars in key places like the bathtub if needed. Strong bones aren't just about preventing breaks. They're about preserving your independence. Moving on to energy and emotion, holistic tools to support bone resilience. Stress and high cholesterol, nope. Stress and high cortisol levels contribute to bone breakdown. Integrate breath work, guided relaxation, or grounding walks. There's flower essences that can support. It's called Boneset, Boneset, for emotional support through physical weakness or healing. You can also give yourself an affirmation each day. My body supports me with strength, flexibility, and resilience. You can encourage yourself to do self reflection. Where am I not feeling supported in life? And how can I strengthen that foundation? So, we talked about bones again. This closes out Bone Month, which was May. Just to remember, you're not imagining your systems. Nope. You're not imagining your symptoms. You deserve support, not skepticism. It's okay to ask for what you need and to let go of needing permission to validate your experience. I've had a few people ask me just before I close out, why don't I edit my fumbles, the way I speak when I'm doing this podcast? It's simple. Um, this is real life. I'm postmenopausal. I am dealing with um, brain missteps. I hate to call it brain fog. I'm not searching through a fog. My brain just processes things a bit differently now. And sometimes it doesn't process things. It takes a bit longer. So my missteps, my mispronunciations, yes, does it have to do with dyslexia that I've had most of my life? Well, actually, all my life. Yes, it does. Okay. But the menopause, postmenopausal, and what it has done to my brain um, is also added in here. I don't want you to think I'm perfect because I am so far from perfect. It's unbelievable. I was far from perfect before I hit perimenopause, and I sure as hell am far from perfect during postmenopause. This is why I do not alter or edit my podcast to make me sound perfect. All right? Now, if today's episode hit home, I see you, I've been there, and I promise there is a way forward. Don't walk this road alone. You are worthy of healing, connection, and joy. I want to thank you for hanging out with me today on MenoSpark. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and if you found this helpful, please share it with a friend, leave a review, and make sure you're subscribed. Follow me on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Substack. On Substack, it is the Menopausal Minute for even more tips, tricks, and inspiration. And if no one's told you this today, let me be the first to say it. You are fabulous. Remember, please, you're not alone on this journey. Until next time, keep that spark alive. You deserve it.